technical rating, what did you give Gladiator 2 on a technical score of just like how well the film is crafted and made at the technical level?
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
I think maybe I should do. It's like the visual effects were actually really really good in this one when they show Rome. You know, in the first one it's really really blue, and this one they made it. It just feels a little more real, a little more
It's an
tangible.
improvement.
It is, yeah.
You can see that the visual effects have stepped up for sure.
Yes, yeah, and not to say that Gladiator was bad, but this one just I don't know. The visual effects are great.
The sci-fi sharks maybe could have been a little
Yeah,
better.
yeah. But you know, no, I guess 6.5 is appropriate because I didn't love the score.
Yeah.
The screenplay had a ton of problems, maybe even lower, maybe 6. But you know, I mean, so many other things: the costumes, the you know, the battle sequences, a lot of the acting was really really good. They're, like we said, they're doing the best they can with what they have. So yeah, 6.5. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6. So technically, that's the only thing I could really latch into the entire time watching this movie was production design
Yeah.
and like and the actors doing everything they could.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. And it for me, really, I didn't even really particularly enjoy the action sequences. I thought they were kind of just fine and not good enough to make up for the massive problems in this screenplay and kind of some of the weird directorial choices even from Ridley Scott. And so I just was like, this movie gets as high of a score as it does because visual effects were really on point for the most part. The production design is incredible. The detail in the world building is fantastic. And I've got to give it up for the art department for this movie, for the costumes of it. But boy, Hans Zimmer in the score, boy, we missed that score.
Yes,
and so even 6 feels high, but it's all for just there's a lot on screen here. It's very big. It's very epic, but I just wish that it had a screenplay that could serve it better.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the ending of this film?
The ending was the weakest part. I gave it a 4 because I feel like 5 would be like, it was okay, but it's below average. You know, it's below middle because it was really. I mean, the ending was really pretty sloppy, and it wasn't satisfying like Gladiator was. So 4. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 2. I literally was like, I just was like, this movie had no idea what it was doing and had a third act that told me that a character I'd been following the whole movie was the villain. And I was like, hey, if he's going to be the villain of the movie, come on, you got to just let me know that he's the villain. Just let me know that and structure your movie in that way where that's clear, because this last fight has no payoff. It makes no sense to me logically why these armies would be watching these two men fight. I just thought as good as we talked about Gladiator, and as good of an ending as Gladiator has, as well as they stick the landing, this movie just felt like such a mess in its final act. It just felt like whatever was there was rapidly falling apart, just like Rome itself in the movie. Rome seems to be unfurling and falling apart in the final act of this movie, and the movie seems to be falling apart. And I just felt like it didn't really land anywhere satisfying at all. So
yeah. Well, rewatchability, what did you give it?
I gave it a 3 because like maybe I just missed stuff. I'm like, okay, I could come back to it to be like, maybe I just on the first watch I just wasn't seeing it, and maybe I missed it. But I don't know if I rewatch Gladiator 2, it'll probably be once and then never again, and I'll probably just stick with Gladiator and pretend that this movie doesn't exist, to be honest.
Okay, I gave it a 6.
Yeah,
it could be, the visuals of watching it, but it's not something I'm going to watch as much as I did Gladiator.
Yeah. How about cultural impact and relevance?
Cultural impact, I mean, it is doing really well, especially for a rated R movie. I gave it a 7. We'll see. And I had, I really would like to know what some younger people feel like, because I was sitting next to 2 younger kids. I don't know, they're probably like 18 or 16 or 17 or whatever. They seemed to be totally into it. And I was like, well, if you love this, you should watch Gladiator. But it could be a more of a, I don't know, maybe it's more of a generational thing. So I put 7. It'll be very interesting. I almost should put a question mark because I really don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, I'm seeing that based on most aggregators online, we are in the minority. Most people
Yeah.
seem to be really liking this movie. So it might have a bigger cultural impact than I think, but
Yeah.
also I don't think this movie is going to have the staying power that Gladiator had. I don't think
No,
it's
I don't
going
think it
to.
will either.
I think the biggest cultural impact this film's going to have is bringing a new generation of viewers to Gladiator. I think that
Yeah.
all of
Good.
the kids that like this movie are probably going to go watch Gladiator if they haven't already and see that it's a much better film. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
see
I hope
that.
so too.
But yeah, I really wanted to like this movie and
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 5 on the cultural
Okay.
scale.
Okay. Yeah.
Subjective, what did you give it?
Subjective, I gave it a 7, and that's
Yeah.
mainly because Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm singing his praises a lot, but he was really interesting to watch. He's obviously an amazing actor. Unfortunately, the end wasn't great, but it had enough in there that I felt like 7 is a pretty, is pretty solid.
Yep.
Maybe it could be a little bit lower, but yeah.
3. I was
3. You're
I really the longer I think about this movie, the more I talk about this movie, the more I'm just like, I'm so let down by it. I really
yeah.
was
Yeah.
because I think that it's no secret at this point of us doing this show that I don't like legacy sequels that are
Yeah,
just
you
made.
really don't.
There's just tropes that they do that get under my skin that bother me that I think are really
Yeah.
corny.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping this movie could stand on its own 2 legs and be its own thing and be like a really strong new and all the reviews were making me go, "Okay, cool, this might really be something." And
Yeah.
I just kinda I really was rooting for this film in the theater, and I just found it to be like I think it's just kinda bad. I think it's just like that's,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So,
All your points are very valid. And funny thing, in reading in the reviews that I have read, like they're pretty much kind of how I feel like, yeah, there's a lot wrong, but there's some interesting stuff, but it's not anywhere near as good as Gladiator, like the first one. So that
yeah.
seems to be like it's positive, but it's almost like deceptively positive because they're acknowledging the many, many faults that are still in the movie.
I give it all to the art department. I think that everybody's watching a
Yeah,
movie that's
they're doing
that
great.
beautifully made on that end and going, "This can't be bad." You can't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that a
yeah, yeah.
movie that looks this good and has this good of costumes and this good of, like, production design is
Yeah.
bad, right? Like, they're doing a lot, and it's like, yeah, I get it, but, like, that screenplay is just it's letting everybody down. It's just
Yeah.
and the lack of Hans Zimmer's music and, yeah, it's just like this is coming after a fantastic movie,
Yeah.
and I don't think that it's even half the movie that the first one is, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's valid.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, what'd you think? Are you a big Gladiator 2 fan? Am I wrong? And is it closer to a 7 or an 8? Or, let us know what you think, and we'll see you at the next one. We're into the hot season. This is when all the best movies come out, so we'll be,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
we'll see what's coming out down the stretch. Uh
Yeah.
All right, and we'll see you at the next one. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all those things. Bye bye.